The 10 years between 65 and 75 are the hardest stage of life. I have never heard anyone say that out loud. And that silence, that specific silence, is the thing that costs people years. I want to talk about that today, not to frighten you, because knowing the name of the thing you are in is the difference between drowning and swimming. I spent 30 years going into people's front rooms, sitting with them, watching them. Some of them flourished, genuinely, unexpectedly, lit up in their 70s in ways that surprised even them. And some of them faded quietly, politely, in comfortable chairs by windows with the television on. I watched hundreds of people move through this exact decade. And I can tell you with certainty, what happened in these 10 years decided the rest. So let me tell you what I saw. The first thing I noticed every time, like clockwork, was the job going. Not just the job, the identity that lived inside it. I sat with a man once, about 18 months into retirement, in a house in the Midlands. Lovely home, a certificate on the wall, still in the frame. He said to me, "I keep nearly picking up the phone to call the office, not because I miss it particularly, just because I knew what I was doing there." What he was describing was not missing work. He was describing missing being someone. There is a difference, and it matters enormously. For 40 years, the answer to "what do you do?" was right there. You said it without thinking. It came with weight, with a place in the room. And then one day, the party, the card, the handshake, it is gone. And nobody tells you that the answer to that question was holding up more of your sense of self than you ever knew. Retirement is a bereavement. I will say it plainly because no one else does. You do not retire from a job. You retire from being someone, and you are expected to be delighted about it. That is the lie at the center of this whole decade. Everyone calls these the reward years. You worked hard, you earned this, now enjoy it. So when it feels awful, when it feels like something has been amputated, people do not say so. They assume the fault is theirs. They think everyone else finds this wonderful. What is wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. This is just genuinely hard. And the silence around how hard it is makes it harder. The second thing I watched was the diary. Full diaries going empty, not suddenly, gradually. A Tuesday that used to be packed becoming a Tuesday with nothing in it until 3 o'clock. Then another Tuesday, then most of them. There is a particular quality to an empty Tuesday when you used to be needed. It is not rest. It feels nothing like rest. It feels like being put down. The phone stops ringing the way it used to. And I do not mean people stop caring about you. I mean the calls that came because you were required, the ones where the answer to a problem lived in your head. Those calls stop because the problem now goes to someone else. That shift is quiet and relentless. You become optional to people who used to need you. And optional feels very different from loved. The third thing, and this one I watched do real damage, was the room stopping turning. You know what I mean. You are in a gathering, a family dinner, a meeting of some kind. A question comes up, a decision needs making, and the room turns to the person with the answer, with the experience, with the authority. In this decade, for a lot of people, the room stops turning to them. Decisions get made without the conversation. Plans are announced rather than discussed, and it happens without malice, and the people doing it often do not even notice, but you notice. Every single time you notice. And then comes the slow, strange work of figuring out who you are, when none of those external things are telling you anymore. That is the quiet renegotiation at the heart of this window. Who are you when the job is gone, the diary is empty, the room is not turning to you, and the people who used to need you have found other arrangements? Who are you now? That question is not a crisis, but it is serious work, and it takes longer than anyone warns you. Now, here's where I want to be very precise, because this is the part that matters most. The people I watch come out the far side of this decade, intact, alive, genuinely glad to be where they were, did not find some magic solution after the hard part was over. They started inside the window. That is the thing I need you to hear. The ones who flourished did not wait until they felt better, until they had figured it out, until it stopped being hard. They made moves, small, specific moves, while it was still hard, while the diary was still emptying, while the room was still not turning. And the ones who faded, the ones I watched go quiet in those comfortable chairs, they waited for it to pass, for someone to notice, for the feeling to lift on its own. It did not lift on its own. This decade is not the losing decade. I want to be very clear about that. I have watched people enter it in pieces and come out the other side more themselves than they had been in 20 years, more deliberate, more honest about what they actually wanted, more present. But it does not happen by accident. It happens because someone, somewhere, made a decision inside the hard part, not after it. If you are in this window right now, I want you to hear this directly. It is not a moral failing to find this hard. It is not ingratitude. It is not weakness. It is not a sign that something has gone wrong with you. It is the hardest stage of life, and almost nobody says so. And that silence has been costing people years, for as long as I have been watching. You are not broken. You are in the most significant decade of your adult life. And what you do in it matters, not in a threatening way, but in the truest possible way. The shape of the years ahead gets decided here. I have spent a long time trying to put into words everything I watched in those front rooms. What separated the ones who flourished from the ones who faded, what the turning points actually looked like, and what it is possible to build in this decade if you know where to look. That is the book. It is called The Best Years Left. It is the map I wish someone had handed every person I ever sat with, right at the beginning of this window. You are not at the end of something. You are in the middle of the most important decision you will ever make about how your life goes. And now you know what decade you are actually in.